Welcome to The Funniest Thing.
Yes.
Where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
Correct.
I'm Darrell.
And I'm Ed.
And we're broadcasting live from CHOBO Studios in beautiful
Van Nuys, California.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
Not far from the lovely, world-famous Victory Boulevard.
So, Ed?
Yes.
You know, I think, is it, yeah.
Well, let's take a
Today's
moment before you do that and thank our Patreon.com.
Oh, my goodness. We are
Patreon
so
people.
grateful.
You guys have been coming through. We're really excited because, stepping out boldly for us has been doing the show outside of Unity Online Radio. We thank everyone who's continuing to Funniest Thing along with us. So we have a way that you can make a monthly donation to the show. Contribute. Circulate.
Well, it's also, I really feel like the people, our fans, are more like our family than just like anonymous listeners.
Yes.
And everyone
agreed.
who contributes to the show, I really feel like they're part of the show.
Oh, big time, big time. And we've felt like that since the beginning,
Yes.
and now it's even more exciting. Barbara Weatherman jumped on this week, so thank you for that. We also have, 9 other loving people, Andrea Allman, Donald, Jane Leonard, who have been thrown down for the show. So we really appreciate that.
Yes.
If you want to donate to the show, to contribute to the show, patreon.com/funniest thing.
Yeah, and as little as $5 a month makes a big difference on enabling myself and Ed to continue to produce this show.
Yeah, because there's so many other things going on behind the scenes with regards to finances and other things. And we're going to continue doing the show because we love it. It really does help us connect the dots of joy for our week.
Yes.
And we're so happy you're here along with us. So, yeah, if you want to support us and contribute, go to patreon.com/funniest thing, and it is greatly appreciated. And now,
to stay on a positive note, we're going to be casting the burden, Ed.
That's right. Today's show is called Casting the Burden with Cami Ann Talbot. When concern kicks in, our minds start working like a Hollywood studio, casting the burden. Ooh. Like it's a play called The Burden. We cast people in villainous roles and ourselves as the victim. At times like these, we need to remember that we are the executive producer. We have the authority to scrap this project and bring God in as our partner, recasting ourselves in the joyful and confident role. On this episode, Darrell and Ed encourage listeners to recast with love and enjoy a feel-good experience.
Yes.
And during the second segment, makeup artist Cami Ann Talbot puts us in the best light with today's daily word, faith.
Yes.
Isn't that lovely?
Yes, and we love our new guest. And this is someone we just met through a guest we have had on several times, many times now. He's become a very close friend of ours, so close that we met Cami as a result of attending Will Rubio's improv performance in Newhall, California.
But do they know what we were wearing?
Our friend, an actor, Stephen Tom Thorpe, went out of his way to print up.
Yes, because all of a sudden I was sitting there. I was like, how are we going to make this more fun? And I remember
for everyone.
People go to shows and they have like their favorite, or sports, and they have their favorite player's face like on a popsicle stick that they put in front of their face, right? So I had this idea, and then we were at Steven's law office where he works, and he's like, oh, I have a printer, I can do that for us. So he ran off and did that.
Printed
and then
life-size heads of Will Rubio that covered our faces perfectly.
Right. And
we had them cut on cardboard. We cut them out on cardboard so they were like, you could hold them in your hand and have them in front of you.
And then the next idea came because we had an extra one, and I was like, oh, yes. And so we came up with the idea to make a jacket for Darrell.
Yeah, it looked like a motorcycle jacket, and I had Will Rubio's head on the back of my black jacket.
Yeah.
And then I wrote on the yellow paper, like bikers have, instead of Hell's Angels, it said Will Power.
Yeah, so we showed up and took the place by storm, and then Will and his troupe did the same, and it was a great night, and we got to meet our guest for today at that show, Cami Ann Talbot.
Yes.
And she is an amazing makeup artist and an amazing person.
Yes.
And we can't wait to talk to her.
And she lives this stuff too. That's what got us all excited.
I know.
She really applies.
Because she's in the process of stepping out boldly with a book and wanting to do podcasts. It was like such a divinely timed thing, which is what happens when, instead of casting the burden, and this whole idea, we were talking about this last Sunday, actually, when we were going to eat. It all of a sudden, it just dawned on us that there's another way. So casting the burden, there's a lot of things we've realized about this phrase. One, Jesus was a fisherman. Jesus was a carpenter who hung out with fishermen. A lot of the disciples were fishermen. So we were thinking the word casting, and we were thinking
he was using their jargon,
using their language of just throw it out, let go of it.
Yeah, because when you cast the net, if you're not familiar with this, you got to throw it with both arms so it goes wide and overboard. You want the whole net overboard, out of the boat, so it could do its work out there.
So our theory is Jesus was hanging out with the disciples, and they were talking about how burdensome life is, or what are you using for bait? But I'm not catching much. You know how much it is.
The last guy at the docks, he jipped me. He promised he was going to pay, and he didn't.
And finally, we think Jesus had enough, and he's like, you know what you should do?
What?
Cast the burden. I'm tired of hearing about it.
He was basically giving them permission. He's listen, throw all those ideas of looking at, throw that perspective you have that feels so freaking bad overboard.
And it's a great tool.
Throw it overboard. Yeah, but just throw it overboard.
Yeah, I think Jesus actually said, this is hell. I can't take this anymore. Cast that burden. And I've been using it all week, and I know, because this is where it's really been helpful for me.
Yes.
It gets to the root of the issue. Am I casting my life as if it's a burden, and I'm going to tell everyone I meet, I can't wait to share, well, you know how hard it is. Like I can tell when I'm casting my life as the burden. Instead, get rid of it. Cast it onto God. Let go. Throw it into the water. Is like spiritual. I think water, Ken Gray told us, represents spirit.
Yes.
Just throw it onto spirit and let spirit do the work. Show up open and receptive and joyful and confident and recognizing we are already a success. These little things are indicative. Like the fact that I even have a meeting where I'm concerned about how it's going to go is indicative that I have this amazing job
that you dreamed of
having.
That
I dreamed of having, working with kids that I wanted to work with. When we recast ourselves in the role of Indy called it the CEO, or the sitting on the throne of our own life. It's what did you call it? The executive producer chair.
Because we really are the executive producers within our own mind.
Then life starts to make sense. Yes. And I think you had a card about this. Instantly.
Oh, here we go.
The answers start to come instantly. Yeah,
I had to read this. We got some great real life stories to share about this, which I know we're going to get to. Right. And we read this on a show a couple episodes back when we were first started at CHOBO Studios.
Yes.
And you could watch all our shows also on YouTube as videos.
Correct.
So you can watch them online.
Or on our Facebook fan page. Yes. Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed on Facebook. You can go there.
But we are a podcast, folks, so you can listen to us anytime while you're driving or going for a walk. So I pulled this out. This is from a book that I highly recommend. I've been reading it since 1986 over and over. And it's just so powerful. And it's by a woman named Florence Scovel Shinn. It's The Game of Life. And there's also these cards, a deck of cards that someone got us as a gift.
Yes.
Sammy Smith.
Right.
And this one is all about this show. And it's so powerful. Just let it sink in. When I'm able to let go of my problem, cast the burden, I shall have instantaneous manifestation. This leads right into our 3 breaths.
Yeah.
Think about that. I want to believe this is true. And you know what? It's always true. I got a story that happened at the dealership that's going to it knocked my socks off. It's going to knock yours off. But one more time, when I'm able to let go of my problem, cast the burden. That's what that means. When I'm able to throw it overboard and let God work on it. And when we cast the burden, my anxiety level starts to reduce. But what really helps my anxiety start to dissipate and my faith and joyful confidence grow is the second part, which is the truth. And this is what Jesus was telling these guys. Listen, when I'm able to let go of my burden, when you cast that burden, I shall have instantaneous manifestation. Meaning when my anxiety, you said it before we started the show, when we're anxious and I'm obsessing of how is this going to come together,
right?
Not only am I demagnetized for the manifestation, but I'm also repulsive, as it's like a magnet, repelling.
Right. And that goes along with what Eric Butterworth and other metaphysical teachers talk about. I believe I always ask this question: is it Butterworth? But I think it's Butterworth one of the people who emphasizes treat the concern within our own consciousness first, not the condition that we're concerned about. That's where we often treat the concern, cast the burden, get out of life being a burden. See life as part. See the challenge you're having, as Emmett will say in a reading we have. See it as just part of the game. See the fact that you have this challenge as evidence that you're in the game, and laugh it off as just part of something that everyone has to deal with. And get into this place, let go of this concern, cast that burden. And when we do, it's like we're taking this noose off of our own neck
that we put our heads in.
And we can't breathe, and we have these worries, and we got to take it off. It's time to get loose. And hopefully, as this episode goes on, we're all just going to keep getting looser and looser.
And in the spirit of the Wild West, we're here in Van Nuys, California. We got a great old cowboy spiritual 3 breaths.
All right, let's take a breath to clear our mind. When I take off the noose, I'm loose as a goose.
When I take off the noose, I'm as loose as a goose.
Now we gotta get going.
Woo! When I take off the noose, I'm as loose as a goose. Yahoo!
God, what a relief. What a relief to know that we're the ones who need to take that noose off of our own neck, for crying out loud. It's so empowering because when we do, so much good happens. I'll give you a quick reading from Science of Mind magazine, which is like the Science of Mind version of Daily Word, if you will. And we went down to Science of Mind in Redondo, right? Spiritual Center, Center for Spiritual Living.
Yeah, we have actually a time to say it quickly. We went after on a Sunday after service at the Unity of the West Side.
Right after we came up with this title, as a matter of fact,
right after
on that same trip.
And we both said, okay, let's go for a ride to our favorite hamburger place. It's actually miles away. It takes a half hour to get to. We drive, but we decided, no, let's just do it. So we drove down to Redondo Beach, and we get done. It's 4:00, and one of us, I can't remember, said, oh, yeah, that Science of Mind church is here.
Yes.
Where Reverend Ike spoke a lot. And,
right.
And we're all kind of thinking, yeah, it's Sunday at 4:00. Most churches are locked up and shut down by that time. But we didn't let that voice have any. We drove there anyway, and there was cars in the lot. And we decided,
we saw 2 guys walking by, and we were like, wow, what's going on here?
And we decided, well, let's walk up to the door opens. We meet a wonderful group of people. The actual minister, Dr. Maura Fox.
The first person came out, I believe her name's Donna.
Yes.
She's like I don't know, she seemed to be, I'm not exactly sure what her job is over there, but she obviously plays an important role over there. She walked up to us. We were just at the table looking at their sort of free stuff they give away, inspired material.
Yes.
And she says, hi, would you like me to go get Moira? Who's the head minister of the place. And for some reason, part of me was afraid, but part of me goes, yes. And so then I ran away. I ran into the restroom.
Yeah, and left me there.
You with Stephen Tom Thorpe. And I was like, all right, God, guide me. I was like, let me remember that Darrell and I are New Thought ministers who do a very successful podcast, who teach this stuff, who do this stuff all the time. Let me not think of myself as just some invisible guy who just happened to show up here. Let me remember that through this show, we have connections to the history of New Thought in this country, in the world, and that we are, and I just said, guide me. And
then when she came out, because now I'm there.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, Dr. Moore, it's good to see you again." Because I saw her 3 years ago or something, just at one of her meditations. But I reminded her, I said, you're in that movie.
Right.
You Thought Knew You.
Right, which is a great movie. I recommend it.
That's how we met Reverend Richard Mirage from the same movie. You could watch it on Amazon Prime or one of the streaming services. And she
New Thought Knew You, right?
New Thought Knew You. As she came out, we had a wonderful exchange with her, and she's going to be a guest on an upcoming show.
Yeah, because I came out finally imbued with a memory of who I am, and I said, we do a podcast, and then they were like, ooh, and they got everyone lit up, and they took so much time to talk to us. And Moira, Dr. Fox, if you will, she's got this great authoritative presence, but as our discussion went on, I could see her little eyebrow raising, wait, these guys actually do study and know this stuff.
Yeah, she could tell that we were, because it takes one to know one when you're living it, not just talking it.
Yeah, and it turns out Eric Butterworth had gone to one of her services on a Wednesday. Unexpectedly. She knew Ernest Holmes.
She was good friends with Reverend Ike.
Yeah, so I think we all did. I got this chills and this feeling, when something amazing's happening. And I had just been saying to Darrell, we're not really unity ministers. We're New Thought ministers, but maybe we should start reaching out to Science of Mind as well more. I had just been saying this, and then lo and behold, boom. So Dr. Fox will be coming on the show in the near future.
And that's what led to us getting this this reading.
And I opened it up the other day to this page by Reverend Dr. Patrick Cameron. He's the senior minister, spiritual director of the Edmonton Center for Spiritual Living in South Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Yes, I've been there. Not the Center for Spiritual Living, but me and Lori did my one-man show in Edmonton, Canada.
No way.
Yeah. We were actually hosted by the Italian Cultural Center in Edmonton.
Wow.
I know. It's
Funniest
crazy. Because Edmonton's not a place everyone goes to.
Right. So Dr. Cameron said, "When I forget who I am and find myself allowing life to have its way with me, I start to gather evidence to support the idea that there is not enough. And that I start to point my finger and make others the source and cause of my suffering. The alternative is to stop living in lack and limitation and experience our lives as more than enough, because this is who we have come here to be. This is not about having more, but about being more. And when we choose to be more than enough, we are transformed and then can begin to gather evidence to support this state of being."
All week, Ed and I have experienced, coincidences or miracles as a result of living this way. That's one of the benefits of doing the show. We get inspired for an idea for the show, and then we have no idea that we were inspired by that idea or premonition, because we're actually going to need that tool for the week.
Yeah. Because life looks, I know you're going to share your story, right?
Really, yeah.
Life looks completely different when I'm casting everyone in the role in my movie called The Burden, which is my life. Or if I take the time to do a morning routine and cast that burden and open my eyes to what good God has for me now. I love what Dr. Cameron said. It's really about realizing that I am more than I thought I was. Yes. It's not about having more. It's about realizing that I am more. And that is profoundly different, more empowering. So
because the real problem is when I'm casting the movie, The Burden.
Right.
I'm casting myself in the movie, though, as the victim of all these horrible, horrifying circumstances that seem impossible for me to do, and I'm going to have to do them on my own.
Yes.
So what happened was my wife had to take her vehicle in for a recall, but there was also a problem with the air conditioning leaking into the passenger wheel well inside the car and filling it like a little pool. And this had been a problem in the past with the same model of car she had. She had a Kia Soul years ago. So when she got the new one, which is brand new, and like you said, when we get these, we go, oh, this is a dream brand new car. But then it comes along with these things that we should be going, oh, well, this is part of having a brand new car.
Right.
So, but that's not how I was seeing it, folks. I went, oh. And I go,
casting the burden.
Casting the burden. she brought it once before to this dealership, and they didn't know what the problem was, and they charged her for it. And I was like, that should have been on the warranty.
This is an amazing story.
So I was thinking, oh, brother, they took advantage of my wife. And it really was a horrible movie I'm casting.
Now, Darrell had already done his morning routine, so he gave himself a better chance at sliding out of that because, like you're hearing, that he had the same kind of thoughts that we all have.
So I'm listening to that part, and I'm going, I can't do this way. And I was armed with, like, my unfaithful side and somewhat practical side is armed with, I got to let him know that this is an issue that happens in these cars. Because online, you see a bunch of people saying the Kia does this, whatever it is, and leaks in the passenger wheel well. So it's not a big deal. I know that, but it is a problem. So meaning it's not going to blow up or anything. So I'm armed with the information. I go there with my wife because I had to drive her afterwards anyway to work, and she wanted me to be there for support. We get there, and we pull up the car, and the first thing that happens, it was a windy day, a giant piece of the roof flies off the Kia building, and like, thank God, right where Lori's car is, but she had already come inside, and everyone was like, what was that? And it like scratched the side of Lori's car. So I'm like, but the thing is amazing, that's not concerned, because now I'm somewhat still concerned casting this problem, like the air conditioner. So I'm like, okay, but that was good because it helped me let go of that. And now I'm explaining to the representative, the recall, and I said, listen, there's water leaking in the passenger wheel well. We've had this problem before in her other car, and she was here before, and they charged her for it. But, it's this issue with the reservoir. And he's like, I don't know. And I said, well, last time we took it to downtown, the old car, to a different repair service shop. If you listen to an old episode, the episode's called I Love This Place. Because by me affirming what we learned from a 7-year-old in one of Ed's class, by affirming, I love this place, it worked out miraculously well. And I explained, the serviceman took it back. We thought it was going to be a big issue. And 10 minutes later, he said, yeah, no problem. I just had to clear out the drain hose from the AC reservoir. So
I think you still couldn't remember that word yet, right?
Because, I couldn't. I'm all bundled up because there's still a little bit of that bad casting in my brain. So I'm just going, I wasn't sure what it was, but I took it to downtown. At that moment, folks, there's a guy standing next to him helping another customer. And his name was Peter. And he leans over to this guy and goes, oh, yeah, it's the reservoir. And when I was, what I would do is I just blow the air hose up through the drain pipe, and it's cleared out. And I said, holy cow, you knew what that was? He goes, yeah, I worked at the downtown Kia service for many years. And I go, you might have been the guy who did it. I can't believe. I go, do you know the miracles? I was like so high. My wife's going, wow, you get very exuberant later. So I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you just happened to be standing here. And the other guy goes, yeah, it's amazing when that happens. And this guy was a brand new service tech. He had no idea. He would have never known that was an issue and how to do it, deal with it. I was so high on that when they told me, yeah, we're going to have to, repaint this section of the car. None of that bothered me. I'm like, but you don't understand. Prior to this, I was so congested with, they're probably going to charge her. They shouldn't charge her. I better get armed with facts to show them. Like I was armed.
You were preparing for battle rather than love and ease.
And I had to keep, this is the great thing about the morning routine, because I know that I was putting the noose on. And I knew this, I got to just keep trusting that this can work out in a miraculous way. And this is the good news, folks. You don't have to be 100% in the belief.
That's right.
It's just the willingness to believe helps loosen the noose enough for the miracle to occur.
Did you have that daily word that you wanted to read from the past?
Yeah, this is perfect to wind
I was going to say
up.
Two things. One, just the thing of thinking yourself, when you're worrying, imagine yourself, you're the casting director, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to cast the person who's trying to help me as someone who doesn't know and doesn't want me to have what I want. Think of what we're doing with our imagination when we're doing that. It makes it much easier to switch I love that.
And I love that you brought that up because I want to let the folks know when me and Lori went into this thing, we weren't thinking, okay, we're going to let them know, like that old method of you better not let them get away. No, I knew I just got to exude love. When we got there, we were very loving. When the thing scratched the car, I was like, not a problem. And they probably felt relieved that neither Lori and I were upset about that because I knew they'll be able to handle that. Right. And when we were even talking to the new service tech, when he wasn't understanding, I wasn't getting upset with him. I was able to remain cordial.
Yeah, that's where the morning routine comes in.
Keep the love flowing in spite of things not seemingly going my way yet.
That's right. The last person we're really letting off the hook with this stuff is ourselves, so that we don't have to suffer because at first you start experiencing the good because you're no longer acting out of it.
Yes.
And then you take it another step is not to free ourselves from the burden of worry that's what I was going to say. That's where the exuberance comes from. It's not just the thing that happens.
Yes.
It's the awareness of how miraculous it is and the divinity of the order and that we are loved beyond anything we can know. So no need to rush. Let's hear that.
We're going to wrap out this. We got the perfect reading to conclude.
We'll do that and then this and we'll go to the break.
Okay, here we go. This is actually, oh, shoot. Did I pick the wrong one? No.
You have it? It was in there.
Yeah, I know. It was right in front.
What's it called?
It was called...
Is this it?
Oh, right here, folks. So this is why we like subscribing to the Daily Word in paper form, because we rip out the ones we love and we find them later.
Right.
This is from April 27th, 2019, New Creation. And this is the key to getting out of the noose and casting the burden. I create new ways of thinking and being. I'm created in the image of my Creator. And as such... I have the God-given gift of creativity within me. This power gives me the ability to imagine and create new experiences. I am free to create new thoughts, feelings, and responses to life. I transcend old ways of thinking to generate new ideas and ways of being. And this is the key. Just because I've always thought or acted a certain way does not mean that I have to continue that pattern. Being present and mindful helps me pay attention to what I am thinking and how those thoughts make me feel and act. I gain insight into myself so I can acknowledge how I'm creating my experiences and then make changes. When I create new ways of thinking, I develop opportunities for growth or good to occur.
Nice. And Mary Kupferle in the book God Will See You Through, which I highly recommend. Here's a new way of thinking that we use. If you have some task to perform that seems especially difficult or important, if you're entering a new phase of life, if you're desirous of receiving renewed health or supply, know that the Father is not only working with you towards success and accomplishment, and remember, the Father is within you, but He is working within you as well, giving you the inner wisdom and light that makes plain and clear your path. Whenever you're called upon to do something that seems impossible, say to yourself, God in me can. Yes, God can. Regardless of human limitation, personal hindrances, despair, and consternation, God can work with you and within you to solve your problems joyous and victoriously.
Yes, and it really does work, folks.
All right, coming up next, today's guest, makeup artist Cami Ann Talbot, puts us in the best light with today's daily word, faith. Thank you for listening to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed.
Yes, we made it to the second half.
Thank heavens.
We're still casting the burden, but in a good way. We're casting that burden overboard.
That's right. And we got makeup artist Cami Ann Talbot coming on. And in just a moment here, two quick readings. One from Alan Cohen, Deep Breath of Life. Anything we read, go to darrellanded.com. There's a reading list. Add it to your morning routine. Good quote from someone named Anonymous.
Nice.
You and God are a majority. Trying to do it all yourself leads to frustration, exhaustion, and failure. While it is important to be responsible and self-reliant, it is equally important to be open to receive support. Everything in nature gives to other living beings. We cannot do it all alone. All good things are overseen and supported by a higher power. Do all you can without anxiety or struggling, and trust Spirit to do the rest. That's a big part of this show. And then the second part, this is
reading,
the money
this
shot.
one has been saving me all week.
So this is, you can't get any clearer than this from Emmett Fox. Loosen Up, April 11th from what's this one called? Around the Year with Emmett Fox.
Yes.
Loosen up. To be tense is the surest way to fail in any undertaking, great or small. To desire success is a splendid thing, but to pursue success too tensely is to make certain of missing it. The carefree approach in any endeavor is a shortcut to success. In music, in sport, in study, in business life, many people fail or advance very slowly because they make hard work of it. Treat your work as fun. Regard the difficulties as part of the game. Laugh off the annoyances. This, of course, is the real difference between work and play. Take it easy. Loosen up. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light.
Yes, laugh off.
Right.
Those little things we think are so big.
Right. When we cast the burden in the negative way, where we're casting life in the role of our life is a burden and everyone, we're actually coming from the place of failure more than actually working on the solution. We're more like dealing with the failure that we're already experiencing in our mind. We become tense. We also become selfish in the small self sense of way, like, because we're trying to guard ourselves, protect ourselves, and we end up like Emmett Fox said, we end up missing the solutions that are readily available.
Well, and what's worse is once my mind gets into that train of thought, and it's funny that it's called a train because it really is like a locomotive.
Yeah.
I start getting negatively hopeful. What I mean is, instead of going, "Ooh, anything good can happen," right. Ed, can you believe it?
Right.
Look at all the fan mail we're getting. Instead of that, I start going, "Oh, what next? Am I going to just keep having issues with this place?" You know what I mean? I start, and that like you said, I'm making myself smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and I'm letting my mind transform from I'm a creative co-creator with God and thinking joyfully and exuding love and remembering who I am and that nothing's too difficult, to now I'm casting myself as a victim of circumstance where like I'm a football and getting kicked around by fate. And that's just not true.
I know. I was thinking about that this week. The more sure I am when it's connected with feeling really bad, the less accurate what I'm actually thinking is.
Yes.
Because I had a meeting this week and I was so sure that I wasn't doing well for this kid in reading, and I was going to rearrange my whole program. That's what the part that was casting my life.
Oh my God, yes.
I started talking to people. Oh, how am I going to make my reading program better? I felt like, I got to forgive myself. Turned out I kept using these tools. Most of the meeting was about how much advancement he's made in reading this year.
Isn't this crazy?
And I wasn't able to see it because I was looking at it through that
Just
that
like
lens.
this guy being right next to the tech to be able to say, oh, yeah, I know what the problem is. And I just want to wrap up by saying everything was under warranty.
Right.
And they actually did a better job of cleaning it out because he knew all about it. So they really did a super cleaning. So it's not going to happen again.
Yeah. So we got to just get better, too, at just laughing ourselves when we are laughing at ourselves when we're casting the burden. This is not another thing to beat ourselves up over.
Yeah, or expect more problems to come. Start anticipating the worst. No.
Relax.
Yes.
All right, loosen up. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. It's be more amazing than ever if you share the show with people because...
Yeah, if you're inspired by it, share it with a friend.
Now that we're stepping out boldly, Unity Online Radio has closed its doors for the moment.
Yes.
It's you who is listening now. If you're inspired to do it... share it with someone. Just acknowledge how much joy you get out of the show. And you can go to patreon.com/funniest thing if you want to support the show that way. That you can, for as little as $5 a month. It's really helpful for us. You can mail us things at Funniest Thing, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California, 90232. In the mailbag today that Enzo's bringing in. Is that Enzo?
Yes, our FedEx feline.
Yeah.
What did the cat drag in?
Great 3-piece email from Leslie Laird, who was listening to the show and kept emailing as she went because she was so excited.
Isn't that great?
She said, "Oh my gosh, let me just say that your message as I listened to this on Holy Thursday, and what day isn't holy, is perfect. What the HEOLL does it matter? I'm struggling with as a Course in Miracles students. We realize our only struggle is how we look at anything or person, basically how we perceive them. Thank you both for being beacons of the choice, light." Just listening now, again, from a Course in Miracles perspective, when you said, "I bless everyone I see," you are extending God's love. we either extend or project.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. I want to be an extender.
An extender. Thank you. Just heard your thank you on your podcast for my gift of jewelry. Thank you. You know you have many fans. Just know that we're all so grateful for your shining the light for us to follow as a choice. Your podcast has a ripple effect way larger than you realize in a good way on so many levels. Thank you.
And she wrote good, capital G, capital O, small o, capital D, so we could see it like God and good. And Ed just discovered something this week.
What, the connection between the word God? Have a God day. Let the God times roll.
Yeah, that actually good came from the origin God.
That's right. And when we hold on to burdensome thinking, we're not letting the God times roll. The God's working on a whole different frequency and a whole different style of time. But it's available to us now. It's eternal time. It's eternity. Yes. It's a flowing of grace and all the good that we could possibly. We came here worthy. We're not here to do, if I do this little thing in this meeting perfectly, then I'll be worthy of what God has for me. Nope, we came worthy.
In a dream, when I was getting stressed out and I woke up, I had this dream that reminded me, Darrell, the only reason you came to this planet in this form was to just make friends.
Wow.
That's the only reason we're here is just make friends.
Amen to that. When we do that, we're going to be successful in business, relationships, in the line at Starbucks, wherever we go, if that's all we're there to do.
Remember that, folks. We all just came here. The intention was that all your needs are going to be that. Just make friends. Just make friends.
Yeah, if you want a reinforcement of that, check out Darrell's article, Being Ambassador of God's Love?
No, God's Ambassador of Love, in this issue of the Daily Word magazine, March, April 2022.
In the front of the April month, you'll see Darrell's article. It's amazing. It's uplifting. Go to DarrellandEd.com for everything we do, including the Patreon link, I believe is there too, right?
Yes, it is.
Thank you to our original chief engineer. We have two chief engineers now, one here in beautiful Van Nuys, California at CHOBO Studios. That's Indy Fawcett.
Yeah, well, we actually have they're from two different reservations.
That's right. The other is in Unity, Unity Village, or now he's not. He's outside of Unity Village.
He's actually just
they shut down the radio.
He's
station.
at Comfort Studios.
Comfort Studios.
Comfort Radio,
He's
whatever
as
you
handsome as the day is long. He's the most amazingly supportive engineer two lunkheads like ourselves could ever ask for. His name's Jeff Comfort.
And each week he takes us
right into the comfort zone. Yeah. Comfort Radio. All right. Shout out to the prayer line, a.k.a. Silent Unity. If you need a boost casting the burden, you needed some help with that, letting go of casting your life as the burden, letting go of this idea and letting the good flow in, call 800-NOW-PRAY or 800-669-7729. I know at least on iPhones they have an app, the letter U, the word pray, where you could type in your prayers.
It's free. It's free. There's no strings attached. You'll just get someone on the line who's going to affirm in a positive way to help you loosen the noose.
Yeah, it was a really beautiful thing that Charles and Myrtle started a long time ago. Before there was even phone lines, they were doing it. They would say, at this time of day, join us.
Yes, wherever you are.
At that time, adjust for that time, and we're going to affirm the silent unity that exists within all of us.
Yes.
We are never alone. We're never truly alone. We're all one and connected in this silent unity. And when we tap into that, then it makes it easier to cast the burden.
Yes, it does.
So another thing we like to read every day is Daily Word. We just mentioned it. Every 2 months it comes out as a daily reading. We've kind of made it the centerpiece of our show since the beginning. Someone who's on with us today is an amazing makeup artist in the industry, if you will.
Yes, and she's actually a very nice person too. We met her in person.
Yeah, we met her in person by going to see, like we said, our friend of the show who's been a guest, Will Rubio, and turned out we just clicked, and we're like, wow, we have to have this person on the show.
And also, she's the makeup artist on our favorite show on Random Acts on BYU TV.
Which is how we know Will Rubio.
Yeah, which is how we know Will Rubio.
So we want to, go ahead.
No, let's bring her on.
Let's thank and welcome Cami Ann Talbot. How are you today?
Oh, my God, there she is.
Hello, Darrell and Ed.
This is amazing. So,
be here.
Oh, we're so happy you're here all the way from Utah. Darrell's considering moving to Utah.
So many nice people
just because
there.
of you.
Well, and
Salt Lake City is an amazing place. You would love it.
Yeah, and I think another fan of our show, Christine Robaum, is there.
That's right. We should connect, Cami and Christine.
Yes.
I bet you guys will get along. But I know we talked at the break. Did you want to share some of the things that have been bubbling up for you since you've been sitting in the green room of CHOBO Studios all the way in Utah listening?
Yes. What really stood out to me, I mean, beyond all the examples of casting the burden, but loosening the noose.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. That really hit home for me in the way that I'm a very visual person. I have very vivid dreams. I'm a very, as a writer and just an artist, very, very visual. And I will see visions of sometimes like ropes around my neck, depending on scenarios I'm in.
Right.
And so to have that actual like loosen the noose was just so profound for my own life and my own casting the burdens.
I would like to share that something that occurred to me this week is that Darrell and I have been doing the show like almost 350 episodes, right? And we've been practicing this stuff. Darrell for 35 or more years now, and me for quite a while. And what I realized is when we do our morning routine, when we tap in every day, we become receptive to all the great ideas that are available to us. Like all the great teachers, all the great thinkers, anyone who's on the other side, no longer even in their, either maybe still here or maybe they're not even in their physical body, but we pick up, we become receptive to these inspired ideas.
Yeah, that live in that frequency.
Because
that
Darrell,
frequency.
And joy really is the strength of the law the strength of the Lord, the strength of the law, because Darrell, we were trying to figure out the breaths, and this is why I bring this up. Darrell just started laughing, and he came up with those breaths. When I loosen the noose, I'm loose as a goose. And he just started laughing, and I started laughing, and Indy started laughing, and we knew those were the breaths. So the fact that it connected with you so perfectly is just evidence that we don't even...
Yes.
God has ways that we know not of because our rational mind is not even capable of knowing. But if we go with our joy...
Yes.
It always works out in better than expected ways.
Yeah, because Nuys wasn't even part of this show. It wasn't even on the radar. I don't even know how that thought came to me other than we read Loosen Up from Emmett Fox and all of a sudden. And then, of course, I couldn't help thinking of Loose as a Goose. Oh, my God. This is crazy.
I mean, that's just how life, even how I met you guys. And life just happens to me when we're fully present. We're fully embodied and living that. I love that God or that good life and focusing on that. So much truth to that and so much freedom within that.
Yeah, totally. And I imagine with all the moving pieces in your job as a makeup artist that you really have to be flexible, I would guess, right? And I was wondering like what you do to keep yourself going in an industry. I know that like it seems like once you're going, you're really going. Yeah, having a morning routine, which I started doing a few years ago really diligently, has been huge for me to kind of root in and ground in my day and kind of clear space and go into a new day with a new vision. And even as you guys have been reading, it made me think of this. There's this book called Mary Magdalene Revealed by Megan Watterson that is amazing, but she talks about hermeneutics, that word, and it means in theology the lens you use in order to read or interpret scripture. And this was really big for me because I feel like I've gone through phases where I've been both Christian, agnostic, spiritual, all of those umbrellas.
Yes.
And what I love is this mindset, no matter what we label it as or what those sensations feel like in our body when we are tapping into that higher self or that higher power or that God, there's so much freedom that exists within that. And so much release, like letting go of the burden and finding those friends that we're meant to be with and the people. And
I like that because just today I was talking with Ed on the ride here on the phone because I was thinking about things that have to get done today. Like I'm telling myself they have to get done today. They really don't. but a plumber's coming, and I was thinking, and I started to cast the burden. I started to feel that constricted feeling, like a noose, before even I knew we were going to use those as our breath on me. And I had to start reminding myself, Darrell, every good thing comes when you're relaxed and out of left field. Like every good thing in my life came everything, even meeting my wife, who I'm with now over 30 something years, everything, where I live, meeting Ed, it all came from like an unexpected way. I didn't, and even, jobs, I had the most lucrative jobs came in the most, like without me, I'm going to get this job and applying for a certain job.
Right.
They came out of left field. And then of course I applied for that job, but it was all divinely, like you couldn't plan it, but it's from at least taking the time to do this morning routine. This is why it's significant, because even throughout the day, if I feel nothing's happened or I feel frustrated that things aren't going the way I think they should for my career or whatever the case may be, just knowing that, wait a minute, if I just relax, it's all... Wait, I could just read it because it came to me this morning.
Yeah.
Right in your journal after your routine.
Saying. Yeah, I love this.
This came to me this morning, Cami, and it goes along with what you were just saying. And I call it my journal instead of journal because in New Jersey, it's a journal, but it is a journal. And just this morning after my routine, and I wrote, relax. Stop trying to make it happen. The good you seek is seeking you. Sit on a bench at the park, go for a walk, breathe, and give it the opportunity to bump into you. It will.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And it always does. Like the people who came in my life who've led to, positive financial gain or other things came from left field, just meeting you.
Right.
That wasn't even on my radar. Deciding to show up to Will Rubio's show all the way in Newhall was just a joyful idea.
And I wasn't even sure I was going to go.
That's right.
But then he called, and because we had 2 tickets and we hadn't bought the third yet.
Yes.
And then he texted and said,
sorry, guys, I can only get 1 comp. And we were like, that's perfect. That's all we need.
I know. Then we just split the other tickets, and then I met Cami, and here we are rolling along. I wanted to say, based on what you were just saying and based on how these breaths came, by doing the morning routine, it helps us. You said there's a step involved, right? You had to actually apply. Yeah. But the thing is, before I practiced this stuff, if it was too simple, funny, and easy or silly, I would overlook it. I wouldn't do it. But I was thinking about this earlier because I've come full circle with my relationship with God and with what that even means to me. And this idea that God loves me. So, of course, God would want it to be easy and silly and fun, the idea that's going to work for me. Not, God, if God loves me, God's not going to go, let me make this serious and hard. Let me make sure Ed stresses and loses sleep. That's not a loving way. But what we found, just like the way we chose the breaths, is don't overlook the funny, sillier, easier idea. Just go with it and see what happens. I mean, that's what's going. There's so many examples of that I can think of. It's amazing.
It really makes me think of like inner child work when you say that, of letting our, like God wants us to have our inner child come out and play. And to me, when we're letting that happen, that's when we are in our fullest state of being. So letting those laughters happen, letting that silliness happen, that association with self instead of disassociation.
Right.
So.
And that, I think, as an educator, one of the biggest things, especially special education where the kids aren't fitting in to the current model. So they're called, like, there's so many more eligibilities and stuff than they ever had before. And I think a lot of it is just because people have thought the solution is, how do we turn kids into adults faster? If they're not becoming adults, they're not learning. Let's try to put on more of what instead of, and they're forgetting, like, there's power in a kid being a kid and laughing and saying silly stuff and coming up like my
Yes.
students when I leave room for that.
We're learning that now, as grown men.
Right.
That's the real way to learn it.
Yeah.
Because educate means to draw out.
Right, because say I read something like I was reading yesterday, when they laugh and make a joke, that means they're making a personal connection
Yes.
to what I'm reading. It doesn't
Yes.
mean that they're not, that actually means they're more attuned to what they're learning, not less. And so a lot of people we've been taught out of like the very thing Jesus said, which is to be like a child, to enter the kingdom. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
That's beautiful.
Should we get to the daily word? Do you have the daily word there?
Yes, let's read about faith.
Okay, good.
Let's see. The light of faith leads me through the darkness of doubt. My faith is easy to follow during times of contentment and ease. I do not question my path and feel an effortless harmony with the world around me. In more challenging times, however, my faith may feel harder to hold on to, and God may feel far away. I find comfort and inspiration in the story of Jesus' final days as he wrestled with his doubts. I understand that sometimes fear can temporarily overcome faith during life's darkest moments. I do not judge myself for a fleeting lack of faith. Instead, I take it as a cue to reaffirm my belief in the goodness of God. Faith is my light when darkness surrounds me. Even if the entirety of my path is not visible, I place my faith in the wisdom and truth of life. For whatever is born of God conquers the world, and this is the victory that conquers the world, our faith. John 5:4. Wow. Can I speak to this?
Please do.
This is just, it's so beautiful for currently what I've had a lot of major transitions in my life in the last probably calendar year. And it's caused me a lot to question it. I've had very extreme moments of stepping into faith and also very extreme moments of like completely the opposite where they say like, the fleeting lack of faith.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about this is it just brings that full circle balance of the word compassion comes to mind, of knowing that our journey with self and with God doesn't look the same every day. And my morning routine may not look the same every single day. And some days I might feel really enlightened and on top of the world. And other days I might vision a noose around my neck. And, but just like remembering that, there's that surrender and how it really is just a full circle. Like nothing is right or wrong or good or bad. We are just in this present day life and making friends and having fun with it and letting our inner child play and having compassion when the darkness comes and all of those things.
Right. And we connect and become friends with people more. And Darrell's been a godsend to me because I was on this spiritual path and I was forgetting this, which is we connect with people more when we acknowledge the funny, silly little things that our human mind does and are able to laugh at it than we do pretending we don't have these type of days. We give people more courage and faith when we acknowledge, this is what's going on in my head. It's not stopping God from working.
Yes.
I'm still going. I'm still getting up. My success is still assured because I'm one with this loving creator. I'm an expression of this creator. And I'm going to laugh and acknowledge my brain is all over the place and it's telling the noose is putting the noose on. It's whatever it's doing.
It's so when those moments in my life happen, sometimes I have to go, wow, this is like a Seinfeld moment. Or I think of like Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David that I'm like, is this really what's happening right now? Like,
right.
But being able to laugh about it, like spilling my coffee all down my chest on my way to a really big gig or like whatever that is. And just being able to roll with it and like have fun and be like, what would the little Cami inside me do in this moment? She would probably like laugh, like it would be silly. It would be ridiculous.
Yes. It's so funny you said that. Just yesterday I got to school and I was talking to my wife on my phone and I had this coffee mug that I was drinking from, and it's like the lid on it looks like a camera lens. The lid on the top is not exactly secure, so I took a sip and like 3 drops went right down my cheek, down my neck, and I called it the priest collar. I had a perfect little priest collar of coffee.
Oh my goodness!
And I had to do that. I had to just laugh, and my wife helped me laugh, and yeah, so I totally could relate to. That's funny that you just said that very thing.
Well, wait. Speaking of laughing,
Well, that's before we go though
Yes.
to the story.
oh yes,
Cami Ann Talbot, is there any? I know you have a website. What's the name of your website that people can visit?
So my website's just my name, CamiAnnTalbot.com.
Okay.
CamiAnnTalbot.
Great. Is there anything else you want to share with the listeners before we share this quick story from TMZ Utah edition?
I think just to the listeners would be just have some compassion with yourself and let yourself play.
Yes.
Let yourself free.
Beautiful. Yeah, I would add, to the extent that I can let myself off the hook, that's how much I'll be able to truly let other people off the hook.
yeah. I'm gonna take off my noose and be loose as a goose.
Let's all get loose as a goose with this story. Thank you again for joining us.
Don't
Please hang
up,
on. We just got a couple of minutes to wrap the show. But this actually occurred during a visit to Culver City that you may or may not even remember. But Darrell and Ed were out and about in Culver City getting coffee when they saw Cami Ann Talbot hurrying by.
Well, she might have been going to MGM Studios.
Yeah,
right
you
there.
never know. She was looking for something. Darrell and Ed called out, "Hey, Cami, it's Darrell and Ed. How are you?" Cami turned quickly and replied,
I'm great, but I don't have time to talk right now.
"Interesting."
She
Darrell and
doesn't
Ed,
sound quite the same.
I know. Darrell and Ed asked, "Why are you in such a hurry?" Cami responded,
I got hired to do makeup for the circus. Today I'm working with the sad clowns, and they're out of foundation.
Oh my God! Speaking of foundation, here comes Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh no, these guys again? These clowns?
Hey guys, I just wanted to, share a song that I wrote. There's actually some original lyrics there. My producer wouldn't let me go with these, but I thought you guys might like it. It's perfect for the show.
Okay, I'm assuming you're Paul Simon?
Yeah, can't you tell by the short bangs and
Yeah.
the voice?
Yeah, and Garfunkel rarely spoke.
Plus, I don't really know what Paul Simon sounded like.
All right,
Slow down, you move too fast. Don't make the burden last. Just kicking down the moans and groans, looking for fun and feeling groovy.
Visit DarrellandEd.com to find links to everything we do. And thanks
Cami Ann
again
Talbot, we love you.
for being a part of
CHOBO Studios. Yep.
Thank you for being a part of
CHOBO
Funniest Thing
Studios.
with Darrell
Jeff
and Ed.
Comfort. Patreon.com/funniest thing. Hello, Jesus. What you knowin'? I've come to watch your flowers growing. Ain't no more burdens for me. Darrell and Ed are feeling groovy.
Ba-da-da-da-da-la-da.
Feeling groovy. Yeah!